All right. Hey there, anatomy students. These are the notes, the very end of our epithelial tissue, specifically about glands. All right. So we already discussed that glands make some sort of secretion, right? And specifically an aqueous or water-based fluid becomes a secretion. Okay. And there are a couple of different kinds of glands, specifically that you may have heard of: endocrine and exocrine. All right, those terms are probably not super unfamiliar, but you might not know what they refer to. Basically, those refer to whether or not the product that the gland makes, is it released internally within the gland or externally within the gland. So, right, exocrine releases the substance externally. Endocrine releases it internally, okay? So that's our first way of categorizing glands. Second, we can have a different number of cells. Some glands are literally just one cell or unicellular. Some are going to be multicellular, okay? So two different ways of categorizing glands. We're going to start with the endocrine, right? These are the ones that release products internally. And these are going to be ductless, right? And a duct is a tube. So these particular glands do not have a duct or a tube associated with them. So the secretions are released directly into the space, okay? They are then secreted through a process called exocytosis. That's when the cell releases the material through a vesicle that merges with the cell membrane, right, out into the lymph or the blood, and then they can travel anywhere in the body. So the type of product that endocrine glands are releasing are hormones, okay? And hormones need to be delivered all over the body, and so releasing them directly into the lymph or the bloodstream help with that, okay? Those hormones have very specific functions that they complete based on the organ that they are kind of targeting or going to. The exocrine glands, okay, instead of being released inside the cell and then exocytosis is used to move the substance out of the cell, these secretions are released through ducts directly onto body surfaces or into body cavities, okay? So external release, right? And they're using ducts or tubes to do that, okay? There are a lot more exocrine glands than there are endocrine, and things that it secretes are things like mucus, sweat, oil, and saliva, right? So there are mucus glands, sweat glands, oil glands, salivary glands, and they all release the product that is kind of embedded within their name. I'm going to slide back here really quick, because at the very beginning we said that some glands are unicellular and some are multicellular. The endocrine glands are all unicellular. Okay, so that's it. They're all just one cell. Our exocrine glands can be unicellular or multicellular. So let's talk for a moment about the unicellular exocrine glands. Okay, the ones that we're focused on, we've kind of already talked about in this unit, which are mucus cells and goblet cells. Okay, and these are found in the intestinal and the respiratory tracts, right? So stomach, small intestine, large intestine, or the bronchi and the air sacs of the lungs, okay? Both of these are all unicellular glands. Rephrase, all unicellular exocrine glands are producing something called mucin, okay? It dissolves in water to form mucus, okay? Yum, yum stuff. And these help lubricate, coat, and kind of provide a protective, slimy coating within the various intestinal and respiratory tracts to move substances through, okay? So that stuff doesn't get stuck. Okay, here are two different pictures of a goblet cell. Okay, And so this is an example of a goodness gracious, unicellular exocrine gland. Okay, so this one cell is the entire gland. Okay, and so we have the nucleus down here at the bottom. We have some other organelles surrounding it. We have endoplasmic reticulum and mitochondria. We have some Golgi apparatus, right? We learned those in baby bio. And then we have these vesicles up here. They're little storage units that contain mucin, right? The mucus that will be released out of that cell, okay? But then we also have multicellular exocrine glands, okay? They are composed of a duct and a secretory unit, okay? So something that does the secretion and a duct that's releasing it, okay? Always going to be surrounded by supportive connective tissue. And remember that connective tissue has things like blood supply and nerve fibers, okay? And that connective tissue can extend into the gland and divide the gland into different lobes, okay? And with the multicellular glands, we have a couple of different types. So we can classify them by structure and by type of secretion. So the structure, they can either be simple, which is going to be unbranched, or compound glands, which are going to be branched. We'll look at examples of these in a minute. Or the cells, their shape can be either tubular, like a long tube. They can be alveolar, round, or tubo-alveolar, both. It's kind of a combination of a tube and round, okay? So the structure. We also classify our multicellular exocrine glands by what they actually secrete, okay? So they have merocrine, holocrine, and apocrine. Merocrine secrete products by exocytosis, okay, as they're made. The holocrine glands are accumulating products within them, so they fill up and then they rupture or burst, releasing those products. And then the apocrine glands will accumulate products, but only a part of it will actually rupture. And there is some controversy if humans actually even have these. So we're going to focus on the merocrine and the holocrine and not so much the apocrine. Okay. So here's our different structures. Okay. So we have a simple duct structure. Okay. So this is just a simple tube. Okay. It's not branched, okay? Here we have a simple branched but tubular structure, okay? To the right, we have the compound, and this looks more like a compound leaf, where we have this initial set of branches. So we've got this branching, but we have these multiple ducts, and then the individual ducts branch, okay? So this would be a duct, this would be a duct, this would be a duct, okay? And then the ducts branch out, okay? And so these are long, they are our tubular structures, and then the alveolar are going to be more round. So again, here's our simple non-branching, our simple but branching, and then our compound that then also branches, okay? And this last one is the combination, the tubulo-alveolar, okay? So where are we finding all of these? Places like intestinal glands, stomach or gastric glands, right? They're releasing substances into the stomach to help with digestion. Some glands in the small intestine, oil glands, mammary glands that are releasing milk, salivary glands, okay? So lots of like subcategories here, okay? And the last little bit is the difference between the merocrine and holocrine glands. So the merocrine glands, right, the little yellow dots are the substances that they are creating, okay, whatever their product is. And the cells are, as they make it, are releasing it through exocytosis into this opening. Okay, so the products that they're making are in these secretory vesicles. Vesicles are holding something inside the cell. They fuse with the cell membrane, and then the cell membrane releases it into the opening to then go out into the bloodstream, for example. Okay. In our holocrine glands, okay, this is where we have rupturing occurs. Okay. So we have these products that are made down here, kind of in the bottom. And as the cells move up, right, you get to the top of this area and they burst. That's what all of this stuff is. These cells are bursting or rupturing, and that's releasing the product into that space to then go to where it needs to be. Once the cell ruptures, it's dead, right? It goes away and we continue to have new cells that move up from the bottom. Okay. So that is it for the glands, and we will look at a little diagram about these tomorrow as part of our review.